I hadn't known anything about cruise ships before. I'd never been on one. I'd never even seen one close up. So I went not knowing anything. And obviously when I saw the ship, saw how big it was, I was like, whoa, it was incredible.
January 13th, 2012, 9:45 p.m. Captain Francesco Schettino abandons ship, leaving 300 passengers aboard the sinking Costa Concordia cruise liner. The ensuing 6-hour air, sea, and land rescue operation would be seen by the entire world. The Concordia was one of 6 cruise ships in the Costa production line, the largest ships created in Italy at the time of inception. Launched in 2005 and weighing 114,000 tons, this 952-foot Italian ship would cost over $570 million and come to sail on behalf of the Carnival Cruise Lines. Powered by 6 12-cylinder diesel-generating sets, the Concordia produced over 107,000 horsepower, generating enough electricity for all ship components, from propulsion motors to lighting 1,500 cabins, a third of which boasted a private balcony overlooking the ocean. With 13 decks, each representing a different European state, the Concordia offered 5 unique restaurants, a 3-story movie theater, a casino, an arcade, and even a Grand Prix racing simulator. Passengers took their pick of 5 jacuzzis, spas, 4 pools, and 13 bars. They also enjoyed a 64,000 square foot fitness center that included a gym, sauna, and even a Turkish bath. 2 21-megawatt electric motors affixed to pitch propellers allowed this massive liner to travel at an average of 19.6 knots, or 23 miles per hour. On an early January morning, approximately 3,200 passengers and 1,000 crew members aboard the Concordia began a casual voyage around the Mediterranean Sea and would enjoy 5 planned stops along the Italian coastline. But with the temperatures dropping to an undesirable 35 degrees Fahrenheit, honeymooners, families, and travel enthusiasts alike forewent upper deck leisure, taking refuge within the Concordia's inner decks. Having every passenger crammed into the central portions of the ship, however, would prove to be an issue later on. On January 13th, around 8 p.m., during the last leg of her voyage, the Concordia began drifting from her predetermined course and closer to Giglio Island. 9:42 p.m. Suddenly, a loud thud, and the shrieking of twisted metal echoes through the 12 inner decks of the now violently shaking cruise liner. Passengers are swiftly given the directive to remain calm. The ship had experienced only a slight electrical failure, but the situation was now under control. Not long after that intercom announcement, the entire ship is plunged into darkness and panic ensues. The 1,000-foot, 228 million-pound cruise liner had drifted into water that was 26 feet deep and colonized with large, jagged coral reef that left a large gash in the Concordia 115 feet wide. This impact instantly stripped the liner of 2 massive layers of steel plating that protected the ship's generator room. Immediately, thousands of gallons of frigid ocean water forced its way on board, rapidly filling rooms in the lower decks of the Concordia and causing the ship to gain a lean to port side. 9:44 p.m. The engine room lead suddenly makes an emergency notice to the captain's chambers to alert Captain Francesco Schettino that the Concordia's engine room was now entirely underwater and the massive diesel generators and subsequent power relays were now inoperable. With zero propulsion, no emergency power, and failing navigational equipment, Captain Schettino relied solely on inertia and manual rudder controls to steer. It wouldn't be until approximately 30 minutes later at 10:12 p.m. that Italian port officials would make their initial contact and reach out to the Concordia. However, an unidentified crew member insisted that the ship had only faced an electrical blackout due to a blown generator and no real damage had occurred. 8 minutes later, a recording from a passenger's phone depicted a crew member telling people that everything is under control and to return to their cabins. At this time, no abandoned ship order or further directives had been issued. A local patrol boat then attempted to phone the pitch-black and drifting cruise liner to no avail. Crew members and guests prepare by stumbling through the darkness to locate life jackets and loved ones on board. But since Captain Schettino had yet to issue an abandoned ship order, any crew member found lowering passengers in a lifeboat could face charges of mutiny, a serious offense in maritime law. The massive crew liner veered southbound, drifting with the wind for 34 minutes and coming to rest along the Italian coastline. It twisted, rotating an entire 90 degrees into the ocean, leaving the iconic image many think of when recalling this disaster. Horrified onlookers, either on the coastline nearby or in one of the patrol boats or helicopters sent to evacuate the ship, recounted seeing countless passengers actually leap from the side of the half-capsized vessel in an attempt to escape, as no abandoned ship order had yet to be given. 11:30 p.m. Captain Francesco Schettino abandons ship, despite orders from a captain of the Italian port authorities to get back on board and take charge of the remaining passengers in need of evacuation. A heated argument would ensue for the next 2 hours, with the shamed captain claiming he had simply fallen into a lifeboat as it descended from the Concordia. Approximately 300 individuals were still on board when he deserted.
Vada a bordo, mi coordini i soccorsi da bordo. Lei si rifiuta? No, non mi sto rifiutando. Lei si sta rifiutando di andare a bordo, comandante? No, sto andando. E mi dica qual è il motivo per cui non ci va. Ci sto andando perché ci sta l'altra lancia che si è fermata. Lei vada a bordo, è un ordine. Lei non deve fare altre valutazioni. Lei ha dichiarato l'abbandono nave. Adesso comando io. Lei vada a bordo. È chiaro? Sto andando a bordo. Vada. Mi chiami immediatamente da bordo, c'è il mio aerosoccorritore lì. Dove sta il tuo soccorritore? Il mio soccorritore sta a prua. Avanti. Ci sono già dei cadaveri, Schettino. Avanti. Quanti cadaveri ci sono? Non lo so, uno l'ho sentito. Me lo devi dire lei quanti ce ne sono, Cristo. Ma ti rende conto che è buio e che qua non vediamo nulla? E che vuole tornare a casa, Schettino? È buio, vuole tornare a casa? Salga sulla prua della nave tramite la biscagina e mi dica cosa si può fare.
3:05 a.m. Approximately 50 passengers remain on board the sinking ship. A consistent string of Air Force helicopters ferry people back and forth from the wreck to land. Father Rafael Molina, the Concordia's priest, was one of the last recorded leaving the wreck. And at 4:46 a.m., Air Force officials and port authorities would officially mark the rescue as complete. The entirety of Concordia's navigation during the voyage, Captain Francesco's reaction to the incident, and the entire 6-hour rescue effort were heavily scrutinized by the Italian Marine Casualty Investigation Central Board. In total, 33 lives were lost. This includes 27 passengers, 5 crew members, and even a member of the salvage team after the wreck had happened. On February 2, 2012, prosecutors in Paris, France, launched an inquiry to question survivors. Their aim was to establish any criminal liabilities and assess the psychological impact of the incident. Officials overseeing the investigation were unsettled that the Concordia issued no mayday, traveled so close to the well-known reef, and even failed to issue a prompt evacuation request. Only 3 weeks later, on February 23rd, Captain Schettino was charged with abandoning incapacitated passengers and failing to alert maritime authorities to the situation. 4 officers and 3 managers of the Costa Concordia cruise liner were also placed under investigation for counts of manslaughter and, quote, causing a shipwreck and failing to communicate with maritime authorities. On July 20th, 2013, 5 individuals were found guilty of manslaughter, mismanagement of the hotel evacuation, negligence, and wrecking of a ship. Cabin Service Director Manrico Giampedroni received 2.5 years for mismanagement of evacuation procedures. Helmsman Jacob Rusli Bin, along with First Officer Ciro Ambrosio and Third Officer Silvia Cornica, were given between 1 to 2 year sentences for their respective mishandlings of the situation. The company's crisis director, Roberto Ferrarini, was also sentenced to 2 years and 10 months for delaying an adequate response to the disaster and understating the extent of what had happened when questioned. In a separate trial, Captain Schettino took a plea bargain when faced with a multitude of manslaughter charges. In the end, the captain was sentenced to serve 16 years and is currently doing so in a Rebibbia prison in Rome. The New York Times, along with National Geographic and many other major publications, have covered the Costa Concordia incident, bringing to light many safety precautions and other procedures that lacked consideration to overall passenger safety. On January 13, 2013, a commemorative plaque with the names of all who lost their lives that night, attached to a piece of rock found in the Concordia's hull, was cast into the ocean at the site of the wreck, where it still lies today. The body of the final victim would not be recovered, however, until the following year, in November of 2014.